Hey guys, it's Matt Addington. With the way things are going right now, the ability to get out with a camera and capture footage, capture interviews, do recordings has gotten to be a real challenge. So the reality is we're probably going to need to get better with our own cell phone cameras, working in selfie mode, and then being able to get footage digitally back and forth to the people that need it in order to edit or to help tell stories. So I've got just a few tips and tricks to help you ultimately take the best selfie videos that you can with your cell phone. First thing is you're going to need to find a place that is going to give you the best lighting and sound. Those are the two things that are going to be most important. So my suggestion is that you find a place that's quiet. You find a place that is ultimately carpeted, which is going to absorb the sound. For example, sitting in a living room or a den or an office that has carpet, the sound is going to deaden and it's going to sound a lot better than, say, if you were recording in your kitchen. You can do it outside, but you are dealing with a lot of other factors such as wind and other variables that you're not able to control. Second thing in regard to sound is you need to get the camera awkwardly close to where you are recording from. In this case, I'm recording this on my cell phone, ironically, and I am at arm's length from the camera. So the camera's maybe 2 or 3 feet from my face, which is going to allow me to capture good sound. The other thing is lighting. You're gonna want some sort of light on the face if possible. Window light is probably one of the best things, where you don't have direct sun shining in the window, but instead you're just getting the soft light that comes through a window that's bouncing off of your subject's face. Another thing to consider is what's behind you, what's in the background. You don't want to prop yourself up where there's a wall right behind you. Ultimately, you'd like to create a little bit of space between the subject, which is the person talking, and the background. Once you get those things figured out and get that space arranged, you're going to want to figure out a way to stabilize your phone, and it probably helps to flip it around so that you are shooting on selfie mode so that you can see what it is that your viewers are going to be seeing you record. Find a way to prop that camera up on something. If you can set it on something soft, such as a folded up towel or something, it's not going to allow it to slip out from underneath. But then prop it against something so that you can get things very stable so the camera is not moving at all once you start the recording. You are going to need that ability, if you don't have somebody helping you, to be able to hit the record button without knocking the camera over. Don't be afraid to leave what we call pre-roll and post-roll on the beginning and the end of any statement or question that you're answering. Hit record, give yourself a chance to get organized, to get your wits about you, and then speak clearly throughout whatever statement it is that you're making. If you make mistakes, just keep right on going. Don't feel like you need to keep hitting stop and record again. Just let it go. The person that ultimately is getting this at the end can edit those things out. Let's talk just a little bit about framing. We've talked about background. We've talked about proximity to the camera. I like to ultimately frame things up, and sometimes after in the editing process we'll do this, where we'll do something called the rule of thirds. As you can see in this video, I am not placed directly in the center of the frame, but I've moved myself just a little bit off to 1/3, which is just something that's a little bit more visually pleasing. Cell phones are going to record a lot of different quality levels. If you have the ability to record 4K or really high quality, do that, but don't get stressed out about it. Last thing, and whoever is directing you to do this video or asking you to do this video is probably going to give you some direction on this. You can do a definite first person type of speech, if you will, like I'm doing right now, where I am talking directly to the camera. It's got a very presidential feel, it's got a very preachy feel, and it definitely fits for certain things, for certain applications. But there are times where whoever's asking you to do this video might be asking you to do it as though you are doing a virtual interview, which in case you should, once you have things framed up, you're going to want to turn yourself just slightly off camera. And if we're talking about that rule of thirds, you don't want to talk into this side of the camera where you're right there next to the edge of the frame. You want to talk into the open space over here. So you want to answer the questions you've been given as though there were someone sitting right off camera interviewing you. My suggestion here is start the answer to your question with repeating the question. For example, if someone were to ask me, what's the best way to set up an interview on selfie mode on your camera. I would look off to the side and say, the best way that I feel like you should start recording a selfie interview is to move yourself off and talk to someone off of the camera. So I've kind of prompted the answer by repeating the question. It gives the person that's editing a lot more leeway of setting up whatever it is, the context of whatever it is that you're talking about. The last thing is everybody's going to want this to be perfect. You're going to want to make it sound like you completely talked all the way through, answered the question perfectly without stumbling around. Don't be afraid to start over if you need to. That being said, I really would encourage you not to try to read this off of a script. That gets a little bit awkward. You're not looking right at the camera. You're reading something. It's like you're reading off a teleprompter. It just doesn't look genuine. And I think for the authenticity of the video, you want to do your best to just answer the question and speak like you are speaking either to someone on the other end of the camera or speaking to someone off to the side. So this is just a few tips and tricks to help you shoot the best possible videos you can with your cell phone that ultimately an editor or somebody on the other end is going to take and be able to make good content out of. Thanks for watching.